Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Speaker in the Spotlight, where you get to meet speakers coming up in the Children's Mental Health Matters Summit, which starts on the 16th of September. So it's not far away now. Tickets are free, and you can grab them on the website, which is childrensmentalhealthmatterssummit.co.uk. So without further ado, I will welcome today's speaker, who is Esme Coss. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm really good, thank you. Thank you for making time for me.
You are very welcome. It's lovely to have you here. And so without further ado, I'm just going to hand straight over to you and ask you to tell us a little bit about Esme, not the business, but you know, what you like and hobbies and things like that.
Yeah, so I'm a mum of two. But me, myself, I have always had anxiety. I've always been highly sensitive. So I've always found the world very overwhelming. And I think that contributed to me getting ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, in my teens, into my 20s. I think it was like my body's way of saying no for me because it was too much for me. So I've been on a personal health journey myself. Because obviously when the doctors say they don't understand it and they can't help you, you take things into your own hands, don't you? So that's become my way of life. I'm a health geek. I like looking into alternative and natural health. And yeah, that's why I do what I do, because I've had to look into the alternative options to help me and then help my children. My son is highly sensitive like me. He's nearly 11. So we've learned together, and my daughter, who's 8, I believe she's got ADHD, so completely different parenting tools needed for that one. No child is the same.
No.
So yeah, I'm just very interested in health and empowering myself and other people with the knowledge of what we can actually do for ourselves.
Yes, yeah, it is amazing. And sorry to hear that you have MECFS. I also have that, and it's, you know, it's not fun. Which is quite interesting, because I know that I'll ask you about your business and I'll try to stay on track. So obviously, with all that being said, what is your business, and how did you come about doing that?
Yeah, so I will just add, I don't consider myself to have ME now, but I will always have to be conscious of my energy levels. It makes you very aware of what you can and can't do. That will never go. So my business is Joyfully Well, and it's really about empowering people. So I started off, I learned Reiki actually for my own self-healing, to see, you know, you get desperate, don't you? You know, what can I do to help myself? So I learned Reiki in the attempt to overcome ME, and it was so powerful, and I became so passionate about it. That was really the start of my business, because I wanted to share it with others. And I just naturally had people coming to me that had similar health issues. So I started coaching them and teaching them what I had done to overcome, and was helping them too. And then fast forward to having children with different needs, and obviously still having my own anxiety issues and insecurities and things like that. I started studying mental health for children. And in the research for that, I kept coming up and seeing all the research for EFT tapping for overcoming mental health issues, not just coping with them, but actually resolving them. So that was, yes, this is what I need to do. So straight away, I signed up and became a practitioner, and I started volunteering at my children's school. So I used it for myself and my own children, but I wanted to help the children in schools. I knew that their emotional literacy support assistants had huge waiting lists.
Yeah.
And I said, can I just come in and just help with the backlog? So they started finding children for me that they didn't know what they could do for. You know, they would go through the weeks of sessions that they could do for them and weren't really resolving. things, and then they'd come to me and we'd be able to resolve things sometimes within a session, sometimes within 10 minutes, because it's so powerful. So to explain for anyone that's not come across EFT tapping, I just call it tapping. We are using the meridians that acupuncturists use. We're tapping on the start and end points of some of the major meridians, which I don't know if you're aware, Cassie, but they've actually found them now, and they're calling them the primovascular system. So it's not just these energy woo-woo channels, they're actually the very fine vessels that they've found. And you get energy blockages within these channels. And so when you tap on these acupressure points, you can release emotions that have been stored for your whole life. And that can be so healing. You know, I know you do tapping yourself. So that's why I'm saying this, you know how powerful it is. So yeah, I use Reiki, I use EFT tapping, and I also use theta healing to help and empower adults, parents, children to overcome whatever they need to. But I do specialize in anxiety because I'm an expert in that. And also people with like fibromyalgia, ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, just because, again, lived experience, and I know what helps, what works.
Yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, anyone who knows me knows that I am so passionate about tapping, and with things, you know, as fibro and ME diagnosis, I don't want to say sufferer, but as a donor, it does help. And with children, it's amazing. And I got goosebumps that you actually managed to get into schools, because it's not easy. It is not easy with a complementary alternative therapy to try and get into schools. You have to, quite often you have to battle. So that is amazing. And, you know, even I'm going to try to stay on track, because I could talk about tapping probably like you for the rest of the day. But, you know, especially with teens, at first they're reluctant because they feel daft doing it. But they do it, just not when people see, because my eldest, you know, they do it, and you notice, and, you know, I sort of often point out the finger points to them, and it's like, you can just do that. You don't have to make a whole thing about it. Just squeeze your fingers.
Absolutely. So I teach just tapping shortcuts. My son will do this and just tap like under the desk at school. He didn't even realize that's what he was doing, but that's emotional regulation. So what people need to understand is, when we are activating these acupressure points, when we tap, touch, stroke, stimulate in some way, it's sending a signal to the brain, to the hippocampus and the amygdala, and the message that it's sending is, I'm safe. And when it receives that message of safety, it's then communicating with the nervous system. So the nervous system knows that it can come out of fight or flight and relax. But it's not only saying that it's safe in the present moment, it's saying that it's safe for any memory that's been triggered in your subconscious. It's telling that it's safe too, which is why it can be so quick to calm people down for that emotional regulation. But it's teaching the emotional intelligence as well, isn't it? Because instead of avoiding and disassociating ourselves with emotions, we're not pushing them away or ignoring them. We're actually acknowledging them and saying, oh, what is it I'm feeling? Oh, yes, let's address that and clear it. And you can clear it in like 3 minutes. It's so fast and powerful and easy. I've got 4-year-olds at school doing it for themselves.
It is, and as I say, I will try and bring us back on track, but I strongly, I would love for, you know, like, because they start school so young, that in preschool, nursery, reception, they are taught things like tapping, like meditation, like breathing, and they are taught that, because then when they get pushed into the academics, they've got everything they need in order to deal with it.
Exactly. I got the school to do a whole school tapping pilot, so every child and every member of staff knows how to tap.
Wow, that is amazing. You've got some very open-minded schools near you. I get them looking at me like I'm completely crazy.
That's true. I've had plenty of closed doors as well.
Yeah. And I think, as you mentioned as well, there is a lot more scientific research, and unfortunately nowadays people need proof. They need evidence. And, you know, that is coming. So it is, you know, a bit like hypnotherapy. It is becoming more recognized, and a lot of celebrities use it, which is why it sort of brought it to the forefront. It's like, oh, they were tapping. It's like, yeah, because it works.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's amazing. I love everything about that, and obviously your links go with this interview. Where do you tend to hang out the most?
So I tend to share lots of tapping tips and shortcuts on Facebook and Instagram. So it's Joyfully Well Coach on both of those.
Amazing. And you'll be able to follow those in the links that are attached with this interview. So just sort of a bit of a change of direction now. What was it that drew you to the summit, to be taking part in the summit?
Very much what we were saying just a moment ago. This is such powerful information for both parents and children. So parents to use for themselves, children to use for themselves, and parents to use with children. That because I've learned so much from working in the schools with the children, with my own children, with friends' children, it's so easy and empowering to share those tools with everyone. And I just want as many people as possible to know that there is a tool that they can use to help. Because if you can address an issue as it arises, it doesn't need to manifest into something bigger. Yeah. You know, if you think about how cruel children can be in the school playground, and someone says something mean, if a child can then come home and talk to their parent and say how much that hurt them, and that parent just does a little bit of tapping with them just to clear that hurt from them, it's gone, it's released.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get released and it gets repressed, it's here, and then someone else says something mean, and that doesn't get addressed, and it gets bigger, and then someone else says something mean, and it just grows and grows and grows until you go into teenage years and you've got these huge insecurities, and it turns into mental health issues throughout your life.
It gets stores it in the body, and then
it does. And if that child's got insecurities to start with, then it's going to really embed in, isn't it? Yeah. But if you can address it there and then, or as close as possible before it manifests into anything bigger, then you're saving a lifetime of mental health issues, which is why I'm so passionate about the children knowing that they can do this as soon as possible. Really, I wish I'd known it sooner. Only just learning in adulthood that I don't need to feel anxious in all these situations. I don't need to feel so insecure. You know, I wouldn't have done anything like this a year ago.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's so deep rooted. It's hard to put it into words, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It is difficult. So my final question, which I think, you know, I don't think many people haven't guessed what your talk is going to be on, really. Sort of like I've been saying, give a sneak peek as to what your talk's going to be on, but I think it is quite obvious. But is there anything you wanted to add into what it is that you will be talking about within the summit?
Just explaining how parents can use it, how children can use it, and giving a quick demonstration on the different ways to use it, because every child's different. So if you give my children, for example, my son loves tapping and will probably ask for it most days. And we will do formal tapping rounds because he likes to go there and get his emotions off his chest. My daughter is very stubborn, likes to hold on to her emotions, And I can't do that with her. So I have to be a lot more subtle. So I have to do things like stroking her back or tapping the side of her hand as I'm holding her hand as we walk to school. Every child is different, and I just want to be able to share the different ways that this can be used with anyone of any age.
Yeah, amazing. And I am so pleased that you are doing that, because, as I say, it's a huge passion of mine. So thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today. Please do join us for another Speaker in the Spotlight soon, and thank you again, Esme, for joining us today. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.